What is up, church?
Hey, Chris.
Willie.
I'm here.
What happened to Peach?
That's what I want to know. Maybe I can grow a beard in time before our time's
You're
over.
working on one a little bit. I
Not
like
quite
it.
as good as Justin.
I think you should let it go.
Yeah, I know you said that before.
Join the team.
I'm trying to maintain that kind of sophisticated look about it. So.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean about me.
No. You can rock it. You can wear it well, so it's okay.
How is everybody doing tonight? Thank you for joining us on this wet, rainy, windy, dreary.
It's beginning to feel like fall finally, and I'm very happy.
There's a touch of coolness in the air. There is always something to be thankful for in the changing of the seasons in Alabama, but particularly when it moves from summer to fall.
Exactly.
And we get a little break from the oppressive heat.
It was the first day I walked out and said, it's not hot.
I'm not sweating immediately.
so I'm happy about that.
Well, as you can see, we're doing something a little different tonight. No Peach. Justin is spending this evening hanging out with the teens, which is awesome. So we're going to use tonight to actually kind of kick off something new that we're going to be starting. So you have had, for I believe, 25 or 26 consecutive weeks, Justin and Chris rambling on about whatevers.
But who's counting?
So we've hung in there with us. We appreciate it. But starting this week, we are going to be moving to an every other week schedule. So we've got some weeks. And one idea that we had was to sort of resurrect this idea of Outreach Wednesday that Willie had cultivated and worked on pre-pandemic that has been sort of necessarily shut down because of us being shut down for a period of time. But we just wanted to bring that back, and we thought that this Wednesday night through a digital platform, now how that's actually going to play out is still a little bit to be decided, but one Wednesday a month, Willie is going to be taking over this time slot and updating you and sharing some new stuff with you. So excited to have Willie here with us tonight.
Thank you, Chris, and I'm very excited about the opportunity. Don't know if I can live up to what you and Justin have done for the past 25 or 26 Wednesdays, but we'll try our best.
It is a low bar, my friend. It is a low bar. So Willie is a brother and a cherished friend of mine who I don't know how long we've been working in ministry together. It feels longer than it actually is, probably.
You were one of the people responsible for me being in this position, and it may trouble some members of the congregation that you are responsible for that, but here we are.
Roped him into it.
We first started working together closely on the Backpack Block Party.
That's right. Yes. So I know you very well. We spend a lot of time together and work on a lot of different things, and I'm sure lots of people know a lot about you, but I'm sure that there are some people who may not know you as well as I do. So I just wanted to give you the opportunity to do the 5-minute Willie spiel.
5 minutes.
Hey, if you want to go 10 or 15, you do whatever you want. But tell us where you come from, what your background is from a work standpoint, and then how you ended up at Homewood, and then how you ended up in ministry at Homewood.
All good questions, and questions to which I sometimes don't feel I have the answer myself from time to time.
You're here.
I hope not to bore people who have heard this story before, of the 3 or 4 people who actually are still tuning in once they saw me up here. But I think that it's been a great ride so far, and it's taken me in unexpected places in unexpected ways. I grew up here in the Birmingham area. Grew up in Bessemer. My father started a Church of Christ in Bessemer, Alabama, in the early 1960s.
Wow.
And it was where I got to learn pretty much all my foundations were there. It was a small church. We probably had about 30 or 40 members. So as a preacher's kid, I did pretty much everything from reading scripture to leading songs to sweeping the church building on Saturday afternoons.
Cleaning the communion trays.
I did all those things. I managed to skip that because that was considered a sister's job. So I was able to escape.
Uh-huh.
Now I don't know if we can get away with it in the 21st century, but then it was. But grew up in a very interesting time in Birmingham.
Yeah.
I had always been fascinated by television when I was growing up. It was something that I was just just fascinated me more so than anything like sports or entertaining. And I thought maybe there's something to this. Maybe I can work in this thing. So I was lucky enough to get an internship at Channel 6 when I was in high school and worked in a TV newsroom and saw that there was more to being in TV than being on TV.
There you go.
Which was great for me and for America. So I asked around and said, what's a good journalism school to go to in my naivete from graduating from Hueytown High School. And somebody said Northwestern. And I said, well, that sounds interesting. And I applied to Northwestern and their standards are much lower then than they are now. So I was able to get in. Nobody told me though, Chris, how cold it gets in Chicago in the wintertime.
It gets cold in Chicago.
It was not pleasant. And so as cool as I like to think I did not know how to dress properly for sub-zero wind chill factors. So that first winter was a little bit of a challenge.
That breeze off the lake
The hawk is what they call it up there.
will cut you.
It's not pretty. And I learned one valuable lesson was you don't wear tight pants when the wind chill factor is 70 below zero.
There you go.
Because the wind cuts through your thighs like needles.
Oh, no.
So, which is probably too much information for this audience tonight. But graduated from Northwestern, got my first job at a place called CNN, which was just getting on the air. And so, again, they had lower standards than they have now. So I was able to get in. I did the route. I worked in local news in Chicago and Detroit and Denver, and worked a little bit for Fox TV in Washington. And then I worked in Boston, and I came back here in '97 to work at NBC 13 at the time. And it was a great time, and it was a great career. But I think I met my wife in Chicago, and she dragged her around many parts of the country, and I think she was tired of moving. So it's like we were here now, and we had one kid at that time, and we still have family, so we have free babysitters. So we thought we could stick around for a little bit longer. I came to Homewood. The first reason I came to Homewood was because it was close to the house we just bought. It was
I appreciate the honesty.
we were going to take around, the church circuit, and we said, well, we might as well first stop at the first.
And we'll go to the next door neighbors.
And we'll go to one next to us. And it was interesting because I had always heard about Homewood growing up. Homewood had I would say a great reputation.
Oh, good.
I think other people might say it had an interesting reputation, and we can go into it now or some other time. But I wanted to try, and I have to tell you that when I got here, I kind of became hooked. The people here are so welcoming, and the theology that was preached here was something that I found very easy to embrace. It made a lot of sense to me after growing up in a more strict legalistic environment. I found that the ministry of grace was something that was very that made a lot of sense, and felt like it was something that we could embrace and grow with. Another reason I came to Homewood, though, was because it was a large congregation.
Aha.
And so I felt
The opposite of your childhood church.
and I felt that I could hide here.
As
Much as a black guy can hide in a congregation like Homewood. So I felt that I could kind of come in, kind of lay low, and just kind of be a worshiper and not have to worry about leading song or cleaning communion trays or anything like that. So I was able to get away for about 17 years, and then I blame a cabal of people for it.
It wasn't just me.
It was you. It was Brett. I think Rick had something to do with it too.
Rick's always there.
Yeah. And so this cabal of people kind of saw something that they thought was interesting and engaged with me to do some other things. One of the things that we did was, I worked with you on the block party, as I said. Brett had asked me if I was interested in working with him on a class on what was called Oneness Embraced, which was a Tony Evans series of lessons. And that was, and it kind of began to fuel the discussion about racial unity in the church, which was, I thought was something that was great to pursue as well, because I appreciate the willingness of this congregation to engage in that conversation, because many churches around the country, both black and white, don't.
Right.
And it grew from there. One day you asked me if I was interested in working in outreach again. I don't quite know why, but I partnered with Steve Graham, and for a year we did it on a volunteer basis, and then I was asked if I would be willing to consider becoming outreach minister on a part-time basis, and they said that it's pretty much doing what you're already doing, but we'll give you a little money. So I thought that, well,
How can
okay,
you say no to
if
that?
I'm doing the same thing, why not?
Yeah.
But it has been an experience that I couldn't imagine. This congregation, and I'm sure we'll talk about this as we go forward, this is one of the most generous group of people I've ever seen in my life. They are willing to give of their resources, and they're willing to there has been, I was saying this to a group the other day, I have never seen a situation where we asked for this church to give financially to something where they have not risen to the occasion. And that's something special. And so I felt that we had, it was allowed us to have the opportunity to use the resources available to us to reach out and touch people in ways that we might have difficulty doing otherwise. And so after 22 years of being at Homewood and 3 years of being in outreach and 2 years as being a part-time outreach minister, here we are today.
Excellent. Well, Willie is an awesome addition, not an agent, an awesome addition to our staff here at Homewood. He is relentlessly pursuing not just new relationships in our community, but cultivating and developing a deeper relationship with these partners that we already have. And it is so much fun to work with you. And I am extremely appreciative of the work that you've done so far.
Well, I have to say that when I walked into this, I have to give Brett a lot of credit because he laid the foundation for this. When I came on board, he had already established community partnerships with a number of different agencies and a number of different entities in the community. So it was just our opportunity to build on what was already there. So that has been helpful. It wasn't like we had to build it from scratch.
Sure.
And start from zero. So that was helpful to have that foundation going forward. And again, the ability, I have said to others that in my role as outreach minister, my job is to keep pushing till somebody tells me no.
That's rare.
And for the most part, no one has told me no yet. So we keep pushing.
Yes, that's great. I would love to give you kind of the opportunity to share what you see as the vision for outreach here at Homewood, and then how people can plug into that. Is it really structured in that you have these different initiatives, or is it that you are seeking people with passion to plug into this ministry and find their home there?
Got a trick question in there. When I took on this assignment 3 years ago, I realized that I was not the grand poobah of what should be how we do outreach here. That this is a community group thing. So the first thing we did was put out a survey asking members, what are you passionate about? What do you care about? What are the things that we need to be doing that we aren't doing now? And we got a very good response to that survey. And there were some things on that list that weren't necessarily surprising, but it was interesting to see how passionate people were about it. They were passionate about feeding the hungry. They thought that was something that was really something that we were called to as members of this church. And so that led us to try to find a relationship with the Community Food Bank and begin our food pantry initiatives, which you're familiar with so well. That's when we started the Jonesboro Food Pantry in Bessemer, which is going to its third year this fall. And there was the desire to do more, so we created the on-site food pantry that we do here once a month that went on today, and I hope it went well.
It went really well.
Good.
Not only did we have, I think, a bigger than expected crowd coming through, they were putting together boxes after all the boxes that had been put together had been given out, but it looked like we had a really good volunteer force, which is super important.
Absolutely, because I think that's so important and I have to give a shout out to Jay and Shelby Elmore for being the guiding force behind the Jonesboro Food Pantry, and Tim and Emily Shell, who are just almost single-handedly making the on-site food pantry work.
Right.
And people like that who are willing to give of themselves and be so passionate about it is just so rewarding.
Right.
As we have this, that they are just so committed to helping people.
Yeah.
So feeding the hungry was one of those things. There were people who were interested in tutoring, in helping kids read and literacy issues. There are people who are interested in working with seniors out there, working with college kids. So there is a wide gamut of interest out there. So we took those things and said, well, how can we make those happen? How can we make those a reality? And we wanted to make it so that people had an opportunity to engage. Because one of the things that I was adamant about is that I did not want people coming up to me and saying, you know what you should do? I want them to say, I think we should do this. Can you help me do it?
Right.
And that's the goal that we've been trying to build on this. It's very easy to sit back and kind of say, and see problems and think, well, somebody should do something about it. Well, the great thing about this congregation is that we have the ability to do something about it.
Absolutely.
And that you can reach out and do these things. So I value that. I would say that one of the things that we're trying to encourage is, and I think this is probably true of many well-to-do suburban churches, that often stroking a check seems to be the solution to the problem. And while there is a very important aspect of what the solution is, it also involves boots on the ground. It also involves people getting involved. And what I'm hoping to see as the vision goes forward, as we're working on the vision for the next 10 years here, is to get more people engaged in actually going out and being, as we say, the hands and feet of Jesus out in the community.
Right. There's an element of collaboration and an element of community building that I think we're trying to incorporate into these relationships with community partners, other churches, that spans beyond our ability to financially contribute to something. There's value there. There's actual value. I mean, there's numbers there. But I think there's an even greater value in developing relationships with people, because relationships are the currency of this whole thing that we're doing. So.
And I think you run the risk of, and it's not intentional. You come to church on Sunday morning, you see your friends, you feel comfortable, you hear a great sermon. But how do we live out those principles? How do we live out those things that we hear every Sunday? And I've been guilty of this much in my own church life. That you kind of come in, and as my father would say, we see church as a spiritual filling station. That we come in and we get pumped up, and then we leave, and then we kind of peter out during the week, and then we come back for more.
Get your refill.
Get your refill. Without actually engaging in how we do this. One of the great things, there's a great thing to be said about the pandemic. is that I think it has forced upon us the importance of connection and how it's important to connect not only with the people within our own house and with our own community, but if we are able to see people every Sunday like we're used to, how do we stay connected?
Yeah, that's right.
And how we manifest that connection beyond just the people we see on Sunday morning, but to see the needs of people out there. This has been one messy year.
You said it.
And I can't imagine a messier year. But in that process, I think we see that God is revealing opportunities to us that we can help engage and help make a difference in people's lives. Because my belief is that we can talk Jesus all we want to, but if people don't see Jesus in the way we live our lives, in the way we connect with others, then we have no hope of fulfilling our mission to making grow followers of Jesus.
That's right. That's good. Well, that's a good segue to my next question. In March, sort of life as we knew it before came to a halt, and I think that there was maybe not amongst this church family, but sort of broadly in the world that, well, I guess church can't meet anymore. Church kind of shut down, but I know that the outreach ministry in particular has been very active during this. How long has this been going on? 6 months? 8 months?
6. I guess I always kind of say Patrick's Day is when the life stopped.
There you go.
When the NBA called off the games, I knew at that point that life was over as we knew it for the time being.
Well, however long this has been going
6
on,
months.
Just share with folks, because in the absence of being together as much as we have, people may not have been aware of what all has been going on, but there's been some incredible work and even some new connections that have been made during this pandemic, I'd love to give you the chance to share a little bit about that.
No, sure. I think that one of the things that we have been ongoing has been our food pantry efforts. I think that, there was concern on my part, on the concern of many, that this will really hurt people who can afford to be hurt the least.
Right.
And so that need would be out there. And we found, particularly with the Jonesboro one, that constant need out there for those kinds of services. We frankly have been a little flummoxed that we haven't got as much reaction to the food pantry here
Right.
on campus. And there may be a number of reasons for that, because I think you have to engender a feeling of comfort with people
Sure.
to come to a new place where they've never been before, have no idea what happens here.
Yes.
Because frankly, a lot of people outside of our faith family probably don't know what goes on here. And we want to give them an opportunity to not be afraid. That was one of the things that we were trying to do with the outreach ministry. We wanted to open up the building.
Sure.
Because, talk about the resources we have. One of them is space.
Yes.
And we have the ability to accommodate a lot of things. So that's why we reached out to groups like Terrace Ingram's and Legacy Works, which is a tremendous organization where he tries to mentor young kids who come from families who may be disadvantaged or who may be at risk, and try to show them through example and through mentorship that there are different ways of life than what you've always been around.
Awesome organization.
It was why we embraced Five Loaves, which is an organization that tries to teach kids life skills through cooking and through with the understanding that food and meals bring people together, and that's an avenue that people can go down to help accomplish that. So sadly, those had to be put on hold, though, because we couldn't meet in the building.
Right.
So we're trying to keep those efforts alive. I think we found that with the Family Guidance Center, one of our main partners, there were a lot of individual needs that came up for people who were there, and we tried to help address those needs because, again, this thing hits people in a lot of different ways. And I heard an interesting statistic that people who have white-collar jobs have been, by and large, totally unaffected job-wise by this pandemic.
They just got sent home.
They just got sent because they can work from home.
Correct.
It's the people who can't work from home,
Right.
who face hunger and face losing salaries and face eviction. And so while we don't go into this idea that we can save everybody, we try to help wherever we can.
Sure.
And again, we have the resources to help do that. So that's been helpful going forward too. So I think those initiatives are things that allow us to continue to make the connections and build upon them going forward, and to allow people to kind of be able to make those connections that they may be missing. One of the great things about the food pantries too was that was one of the few chances where members got to fellowship with each other.
You should have seen Tom Savage. How happy he was.
It was just amazing that people they want to connect, and so frankly, it was one of the selling points that we had to get volunteers come. This is a chance to hang out with people.
Just
for a little
come
while.
see somebody.
Just come see each other, and I think that was helpful. So that was important. And so how do we build on those things going forward? We have the blessing of having gone through the Accelerate campaign, wherein we are now debt-free. So what kind of opportunities does that open up for us? How does that advance us going forward as well? So that's an exciting time to be at Homewood, and an exciting time to be in the outreach game.
Yeah, for sure. And you hit on a little piece there towards the end that I think is so important, that I think people may not think about when they think about outreach and event-based outreach and service-based outreach. And that is, not only are we reaching out into the community to develop new relationships, to share love, to share food, but it's an opportunity to connect with one another in a way that is really difficult to manufacture in any other way. When you're in the trenches, and I use that very lightly, most of the stuff that we put together is very well put together and is fun. It's a great time. But when you're serving alongside with one another, you get to know each other in a way that you really can't in any other context. So if you're struggling with feeling connected and engaged with Homewood as a church family, obviously I would encourage you to get involved in a small group, get involved in a connect group, and develop relationships that way. But like, if you've got something you're passionate about and we're working in that area, plug in and you will make some new connections for sure.
And one of the hopes that I have because one of the things that I sometimes get concerned about is as we go out into these communities and as we try to show the love of Jesus, how are we connecting with people?
Sure.
How are we? Is it just a bunch of good-hearted Christian folks who come into our community once a month, leave us some food, and then we don't see them again for the next month?
Yeah.
How do we build on that? How do we make those connections? Because that's going to be a thing. And I think we see signs of that in some of our efforts. In Jonesboro, for instance, we were building. There are people who are regulars who know us and we
Sure.
know them.
Yeah.
But are we using that as an opportunity to bring people to Christ? Because I think that sometimes we kind of think, well, we've done our job here. we can go on about our business.
Yeah.
But we just need to figure out ways to nurture the people, to serve them, to care for them, because there are a lot of people who are hurting out there,
Yes.
especially now. And I think it's important for us to try to find ways to find on-ramps into those people's lives in a way that is not threatening or not overbearing, but just let people know
An
that
invitation.
somebody cares about
Yeah,
them.
an invitation. That's great. Well, we, as you all hopefully know, and as you are certainly aware, we're in a time of looking to the future, and we're in a time of dreaming and thinking about the next 10 years at this place. I'm curious, what's on the horizon for outreach? Are there any new initiatives that you've got cooking? If I know you usually have a couple things in the works. But what's new? What can you share about what might be coming up down the road for outreach?
We're looking at a couple of things. Some of them, the pandemic has kind of put the brakes on some of these initiatives.
Sure.
We were looking at things like seeing if there are opportunity to engage in English as a second language courses here at Homewood. I think that's an opportunity for us. There are some programs that are going out there that I think we can connect with and do a better job of working with those groups. I think that as we go forward, we just want to look for opportunities that make sense. And the thing that I don't want to do is to do good things for the sake of doing good things.
Right.
That there needs to be an objective in what we're trying to do. And it needs to be something that people care about, and people are passionate about, and that has the potential to touch people's lives in a way that they currently aren't being touched. So one of the things and I don't get a chance to talk about it too often because we have a routine at church, but I do want to invite people to come up with ideas. Think about things that you think that you're passionate about, you are willing to put. People came to me and talked about the desire to tutor kids and said they were willing to do it, and we found a way to connect them with tutoring.
Yeah.
We think that there is tremendous opportunity out there, and especially as we're going through these social upheavals in our community and in our country, more and more opportunities seem to be presenting themselves.
Sure.
And I truly believe that this congregation, the people of this church, have a heart for service. And don't mind getting their hands dirty if that's what it calls for. And I want them to know that we are willing to stand beside them and give them the tools with which to address those issues. And so, if there's an idea you have that you want to work with us on and not just tell us that we should do it, see me. I'm usually easy to find. You can email me. The simplest thing is we have an outreach email address, which is outreach@homewoodchurch.org.
Easy peasy.
So we would welcome that opportunity to kind of brainstorm on some things. One of the other initiatives is our foster parent community.
Sure.
That we try to address. One of our members, Katie Monday, is very passionate about that and presented some ideas for us to work with that. And we also have a couple of members here who work for state agencies who engage in that. So of the hundreds of people who go to this church, there are multiples of hundreds of great ideals.
Sure.
And we want to be able to allow them to tap into those ideals and to find ways that they can be of service, not only to the church, not only to the kingdom, but to our community as well.
That's great. Well, two things that I want to challenge our viewers tonight, or anybody who happens to make it this far into this video, is one, pray for our outreach ministry. Pray that God would give Willie a vision for this community. We're here. We're here for a reason. Help us to understand what our role is as a local church in a community and how we can best represent Jesus and best serve the needs of our community. And pray for Willie as our outreach minister. And then the second thing is, don't miss what he said. The greatest tool we have is your passion. Be in prayer about what it is that excites you, and then think about how you can engage that passion in service of the kingdom, because what this guy wants to do is to hear you and to understand you and help provide opportunities for you to engage in what you're passionate about here. And that's what gets us excited. We can try to come up with all the ideas.
Some of them be very bad ideals. It's just
but
reality.
The best results that we get are when you get your light bulb turned on and you say, "Oh, I didn't know that I could do this at church," and then we make that thing a reality.
Absolutely. Really, if anybody's concerned about having some idea that's too crazy or too big or too weird, I haven't seen that happen yet.
Yeah, hey, we'll hear you out.
So let's talk about it and figure out a way we can make it work. Because again, I think that you'd be surprised what kind of resources can be marshaled to help support something you want to do here.
Right.
And you never know unless you ask. So.
We would love to talk to you. We would love to hear you. Thank you so much for spending this time. Be on the lookout for Willie's. Willie's going to put together something for October. I believe he's got some stuff in the works. Format TBD. It may be a little more interactive than what we have done, which I think would be really nice for the Outreach Wednesday component. Hopefully you are aware that a vision survey has gone out. We've had around 130 responses to that survey out of, I think we have 900 people that go to this church.
900 people on the rolls.
So please, it's a 15-question survey. We want you to prayerfully enter into it, but it is not going to take you a long time to do it. So please take a few minutes and engage with that survey so that we can hear from you.
And you might remind them that they have a deadline.
We need that back by Friday so that we can analyze those results for our next vision meeting next week. Please take a few minutes to do that. Excited.
Do it now. Why don't you stop?
Just do it right now.
Stop and do it right now.
Excited about church this Sunday. Hopefully the crowd keeps getting bigger. But Willie, would you mind saying a prayer for us to kind of finish out our time tonight?
I would appreciate that. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for your Son, Jesus. We thank you for the blessings you bestow upon us as a faith family. Mm-hmm. We are grateful for the resources you make available to us and the heart of service that you have bestowed upon many of us here. We hope that we're able to use those wisely and to use them to the betterment of the kingdom. That we're able to reach out to our neighbors in our community, no matter of their color, their politics, their station in life, because many people are in pain and hurting and need your love. Mm-hmm. So please be with us to do that. We ask to bless upon all those people who have endured the ravages of Hurricane Sally today and hope that they will get through this and be stronger for their experience and bless them that they may not have suffered too much, but understanding that this is, again, a symbol of the mighty, awesome power that you have, and that power can be harnessed for many good things as well. Mm-hmm. So please be with them, be with us, and watch with us throughout this time. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.